All right, we are live. Hello, everyone. This hour on Verbling, the next in my, what are we doing today? Oh, yeah, Hot Topics. That's right. The next in my Hot Topics series. In this class, we look at interesting things going on in the media, different news articles, and we read them and discuss them in terms of our backgrounds, bring your culture into the discussion. Often we'll see that different articles are portrayed different ways in the media. So this one would be particularly interesting because it's all about Greek, the Greek debt, Greece, austerity, other issues happening in Europe and the United States. It's called The Greek Island, where time is running out. So we'll be talking about that in just a moment. First, quick introduction. Let me get my profile on the screen there. There you go. So, my name is John Eric. I'm your Verbling teacher for this hour. I'm an American teacher from New York, coming at you today from Lisbon, Portugal, to bring you this class. By the way, if you click on that link in the Verbling chat window, it'll take you to my profile page, which you can see right there. On the left side, you can follow me and get notified of my upcoming classes. And on the right side, you can book a private tutoring class where I will work with you on a personalized learning plan. So that's a learning plan that is specific to your needs. Okay, let's get started. I'm going to share the material with you on screen. And then I'll say hello to everyone and we'll get started. By the way, if you want to download a copy of this at any time, let me see if I can just put the link in the chat window. There you go. So you can download a copy of that if you'd like to see it up close. So let's see who we have here. We have Ms. Rebecca. Welcome back, Ms. Rebecca. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
Very good, very good.
Yeah.
And we have Mr. Enrique. Hello, Enrique. How are you?
Hi, I'm fine. Thank you. How are you, teacher?
I'm very good, very good. Where are you from, Enrique?
I'm from Madrid, Spain.
From Madrid. Okay, excellent. And we have Mr. Santiago. Hello, Santiago. How are you?
Hello, John. I'm doing well. Thanks for asking. What about you?
Couldn't be better.
Okay, I see.
I'm on the top of the world, Santiago. Let's see, who else is there? We have Miss V. Hello, Ms. V. How are you? Ooh, you are in a cafe.
No, I'm home because
okay.
it is running very heavily outside, so I
No, it's
go
okay.
anywhere.
The noise was coming from someone else. I thought it was from you, but he left. There was someone else who came in. No, you sound good. No problem.
Yeah.
Let's see, and we have also Mr. Roberto. Hello, Roberto. How are you?
Fine, thanks. And you?
I'm pretty good. All right. So here's a quick question for you, for all of you. Have any of you ever actually been to Greece on vacation as a tourist, maybe to work? Have any of you been there?
Nope.
No.
Never.
No, not yet.
Not yet.
In the future.
In the future. Okay, that's good. So, if I say the word Greece, what comes to mind? What do you think about? What do you associate with that, with the name of that country?
Chaos and crisis.
Economic problems.
Economic problems. Rebecca, what did you say?
Chaos and crisis.
Chaos and
Chaos.
crisis.
Social
Got it.
chaos. Social chaos, to be more explicit.
Mhm. Is it really social chaos? Because they seem to be pretty organized when they're out there demonstrating. So what do you mean by social chaos?
I mean, people is not agree with the way to try to fancy the economic crisis. I mean, maybe in the government. So government chaos, maybe.
Right. Maybe more governmental chaos.
Governmental. Okay, thank you. Could you write it,
Right.
please?
I just did. Look.
I didn't see it, sorry.
In the chat window. There we go. So yeah, that's what comes to my mind too. But let's go beyond the crisis for a moment. What else do you associate with the country?
I think they don't have enough money to pay the debt.
But besides the crisis, because I want to make a kind of a complete picture before we focus in on the crisis. By the way, the article is definitely about austerity and what it's doing, but it approaches it in a different way. What were you going to say, V? I'm sorry.
Yeah. I think about the mythology, this legend, the stories about Greek.
Mythology.
Yeah, mythology, because it's so famous, and I like to watch movies about mythology, Greek mythology. But I can't remember the names of those saints. We say saints or gods.
Not saints, because they're not Catholic. because they're not Catholic, they are gods. Gods.
Yeah.
And
but I can't remember the names of those gods.
Gods
That's
and goddesses.
too long for me. Yeah, gods. I can't remember the name.
Yeah, but also the names change a lot because different myths came from different periods in Greek history. So, for example, you have like 2 different Dionysies, if I remember right, and then you've got gods that seem to have different personalities because they come from different myths at different times. It's kind of confusing. But if you read Robert Graves, if you read his book, because he's the guy that was kind of famous for doing a more modern translation. I thought that was good because they're all sort of collected into 1 or 2 volumes, and it's a cheap paperback that you can still get, and they're well done. Yeah, I know. It's hard to follow all those Greek gods. Let's see who else is here. We have some new people here. We've got Mr. Giancarlo coming back. Good morning, Giancarlo. How are you?
Good morning, John. Fine, thank you.
Very good. I'm excellent. And also we've got Marta. Hello, Marta. How are you?
Hello. I'm fine, thank you. And you?
I'm very good. Where are you from, Marta?
I'm from Spain. In Tarragona.
From
Spain.
Tarragona.
Yes, Tarragona.
Excellent. Nice to have you. So, Giancarlo and Marta, have either of you spent any time in Greece?
No. So, I don't have spent any time in Greece.
What about you,
No, John?
Not yet? Okay. So
No,
we'll do a little virtual trip today because the article is all about it.
Okay, perfect.
You know, when you picture Greece, let's try to. So we've talked a little bit about the crisis. We've talked a bit about Greek culture. What about what it looks like when you picture Greece? What comes to mind? How do you imagine it looks? There's pretty famous pictures. So what comes to mind?
Athena's temple, for example, John, or it's very similar. It's a Mediterranean country, so it's really similar to Italy and Spain. There are many small towns on the coast with white houses. All is blank there. So.
Yeah, what is the name of that white material? Is it alabaster? It's a good question. I think it's alabaster. I forget what they call it. But yeah, that's also an image I have. Like the colors of the Greek flag. I always imagine the country looking just like the Greek flag. You've got the Aegean Sea, which is very, very blue, and the Mediterranean. Those really clear blue oceans, not like the Atlantic where I grew up, which is like dark and mucky. And then the white buildings that, I don't know what they call it though. I was seeing if I could look it up. Never mind. I don't know. But yeah, those white buildings along the coast overlooking the sea. So it reminds me of the Greek flag. That comes to my mind too. And another thing is islands, because it's like an archipelago too. So I imagine all of those islands. So you've got the Parthenon, you've got Athens, and I think about, I imagine, I've never been there, but I imagine crowded streets. I imagine lots of what we used to call heroes, lamb pita things that you can get in New York that are often run by Greeks. So I imagine you eat them there too. And crowded streets, the hill of Athens overlooking everything with the Parthenon. And I don't know. I guess what I'm saying is we've got to take a multi-dimensional look, because one of the things I think we'll find in the article is how the article tries to show a side of the culture and of the place that is not maybe getting reported so much. Or it gets reported, but there's this disconnection between everyday life and the place and the financial problems. And maybe the article tries to make a connection or something like that between it. So I think it could be interesting. So I wanted to ask you about that, and I wanted to ask you one more. What do you think the advantages and disadvantages are of living in one of those Greek islands? Just out of curiosity. Enrique, what would you say? What do you think is an advantage of living in one of those small islands?
For example, there is more peacefully. You have more peace in that island.
Mm-hmm.
You can live in a better quality of life.
Mm-hmm. By the way, just be careful with the pronunciation. Islands. Islands. There's no S. Yeah, there you go.
I don't know more.
So much more peaceful. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's peaceful, but what about the what about all those tourists?
I don't know if that depends. There is an Iceland.
Don't say Iceland. Island.
Island. Like Mykonos is a tourist island.
Right.
Or there are a lot of islands with no tourists. Small island with no.
Yeah, because
tourists.
here's the problem. If you say Iceland, that's the name of a country. Right?
Sorry.
Iceland is the name of a country. Island, to make sure that it's very clear, right, has no initial S. It's silent. I'll just make a little note in the chat window. Okay? So yes, Mykonos, very touristic. Also, we can say the word, we have tourist, and we have the adjective touristic, like this. It's a touristic island. And what you're saying is there's plenty of islands that are not, oh, let's do another word with tourist. Why don't we say touristy? Another touristic and touristy. Touristy would be popular. Touristic would be a place where tourists always go. So you're saying that there's a lot of small islands that are not touristy. They're not really known to the public. Is that what you're saying, Enrique?
Sorry, I don't understand the last sentence.
The last thing you said was there are small islands that are not so touristy. Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. There's also, I had a friend who lived in Greece, and her family had their own island. So I guess, I'm sure it was a small one, but yeah, I'm sure there are a lot of places that are not so well known. And go ahead. Yeah, I'm sorry.
But I think that a small island don't have too much tourists. I think the bigger island have the major quantity of tourists.
The most tourists. Maybe it's better to say the most.
The most tourists.
Okay, very good. And Marta, what do you think a disadvantage might be? So the advantage that Enrique said is that it's peaceful. Okay, you've got tourists, but it's not going to be like living in a big city. Marta, what do you think a disadvantage might be? Uh-oh, Marta has a call. Giancarlo, what do you think a disadvantage might be?
I don't know. Talking about disadvantages, I don't know. But Greece has a great culture. Talking about theater, for example, I remember that in the past I studied something about the Greek people, and I remember that in the past theater began there, and the plays began there in Greece. I think so. And
I
they
think.
and they
I think.
I think, and they, I promise I'm gonna say I think,
Right.
and they have a lot of culture. Talking about writers, disadvantages. Talking about, well, are you talking about disadvantages nowadays or in the past, John?
No, I just mean the question on the screen. There's so many little islands, and we're going to read about one of those. So I'm curious, what might be a disadvantage of living on one of those islands? It's certainly more peaceful, certainly beautiful, but what might be a drawback to living on one of those islands in the Greek archipelago? Nowadays or before? It's just in general, your opinion. You think it might be a difficult life?
Yes, I think because imagine living in a small place. We need just to travel from one place to another, just to I don't know, because for example in Mexico have 32 different states, and we are a big country. The United States the same. It is a very big country, and of course the United States has a variety. Talking about states, Mexico the same, and different countries the same. And imagine living in a small island. It could be difficult.
Well, for one thing, if it's a small country, they're going to have less resources. If you live on an island, there are some islands in the United States. There are some controversial ones like Puerto Rico. Controversial because it's in the same situation as Greece. Controversial because it's not really a state. It's not clear what the relationship is, but easy to get there because there's so many resources. Easy to send things there, easy to import from there. On one of these little islands, that's what comes to my mind. If there's less resources, maybe you can't even get there. I'll give you a quick example. I lived in Sweden once. I wanted to go to one of the islands in the middle of the Baltic Sea. Getting there on a ferry took like 6 hours, something like that. I can't remember. 6, 7 hours, maybe more. It took a long time at this hydrofoil. When I got there, they had just installed a little tiny airport in one of the islands, and they had a twin-engine plane. And getting back, I think, took an hour. And but that's because Sweden has resources. And so the islands, okay, it's not that small. They're pretty big islands, but it was a new thing that they hadn't done before for a lot of reasons. There was a sanctuary there for birds and other things like that. But I can't imagine. I think that might be a problem. Just traveling, logistics, all those kinds of things.
Yes.
Go for it. Jose, you were going to say?
I think in this kind of island, the public transport will be bad, are not well developed, I think, in my opinion.
Not well developed, yeah.
Yes.
You did say island, not Iceland, right?
Island, yes.
Right. Okay. Yeah,
I think
okay,
the only way for living is the services sector, and then they have to buy the food, fuel, something like that. And when you buy these kind of products, will be more expensive that if you produce these products in your own country.
Okay, very good. By the way, just be careful with the pronunciation.
Okay.
Fuel. Fuel.
Fuel. Okay.
That's it.
Fuel.
Fuel. That's it.
Okay.
Okay, good. Yeah, I agree completely. So it's going to be a bit maybe underdeveloped for transportation. You've got to buy all those things. That reminds me also, one time I was in Iceland, and things were really expensive. And then I was kind of young at the time. The locals pointed out, well, everything we get has to be imported. Everything on the island is imported. Everything. There's no land for agriculture. I mean, I don't even know if they have cows. I don't remember. They probably do. But the weather's pretty tough, so they can't really grow or produce very much. So I agree with you, Jose. Everything's got to be services in those places, or tourism, right? What other choices are there? Okay, let's take a quick look at some vocabulary words that might be difficult during the text. Let's get them out of the way. I've got definitions for you, but I don't. You can use the definitions if you like. What I'm more concerned about is that you try to make an educated guess, if you can. We'll help each other out to understand the difficult words. Let's go through them really quick. Say them once, repeat them so they're in your head, and I'll ask if you could define or give an example of a difficult word. So I'll ask you which ones are difficult, if any, and I'll ask us as a group, maybe, to define the difficult ones. You can use the definitions on the screen if you like. So, here we go. The first word, I'm going to say it, you repeat it at the same time. The word is mainland. Mainland. Now you.
Mainland.
Only Giancarlo? Are you kidding me? What about the rest of you? Listen again. I'm going to say it.
Mainland.
There.
Mainland.
Good.
Mainland. Mainland.
Mainland.
All of you are saying mainland, but that's not what I said. Listen carefully. Mainland.
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 There you go.
Mainland.
Good.
Mainland.
So be careful, because it's not really land because the stress is on the first syllable.
Mainland. Mainland.
Mainland.
Good.
Mainland.
Okay. Second word is a word you all know. Ferry. Ferry. Now you.
Ferry.
Ferry.
Excellent.
Very.
Third word. Oh, that's too easy. Everyone knows remote. Fourth word is. Yeah. Forget it. That's easy. Fourth word. Listen to me twice. Badger. Badger. Wait.
Twice.
Wait. I'll cue you when to go, because otherwise I won't be able to hear you if I'm speaking. You listen to me twice.
Yeah.
Then you. Me first. Badger. Badger. Now you.
Badger. Badger.
Sounds good. Very good. Very good. I can hear each and every one of you, so don't laugh. The fourth, the 1, 2, 3, 4. The fifth word is, listen to me twice. Consumption. Consumption. Now you.
Consumption.
Consumption.
Sounds good. Sixth word. Spectacular. Spectacular. Now you.
Spectacular.
Spectacular.
I'm hearing two people say S spectacular. It's not S spectacular. You got to drop the E. So just spectacular.
Spectacular.
Okay. And also be careful with the. It's not Q, it's Q. Okay, so just notice in that syllable, Cular.
Spectacular.
That's it. Good.
Spectacular.
Excellent. Okay, good. Everyone's got it. The next word is, listen to me twice, tranquil. Tranquil. Now you.
Tranquil.
Excellent. Sounds good. Next word is devastating. Devastating. Now you.
Devastating.
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 Okay, very good. The last two are really easy. I don't think we even need to say them, but I will define them. The last one, when you see letters in English, we always say the letters. So the very last one is not atom, but it's ATM. We always say the letters in English, okay? Which of these words do you not know? Which of these words should we define?
Badger.
Badger, good. Badger here is probably a verb. So before I tell you, right, can any of you define what it means to badger someone? I'm pretty sure it's a verb. If it's a noun, it's even easier. But if it's a verb, it is a kind of an action. Does anyone know what it means to badger? V?
To nag someone for something.
Very good. To badger is to nag. To badger. Badger equals nag. Okay? So, Giancarlo, if you have a bunch of little cousins, what might they badger you about? If you have like little cousins or nephews or nieces, what might they want from you that they would badger you about?
Sorry, badger is similar to what?
V said to nag. To nag. When you were a kid, did you nag your parents for something? Did you badger your parents for allowance or candy? Not now, but when you were a kid.
Yes. Nag is N-A-G-G or?
N-A-G. I wrote it in the chat window.
N-A-G.
Okay, another way to say nag is, let's see, can we find a synonym for nag? Badger, nag, what else?
Annoying.
Annoy, right. To annoy. But specific, annoy is a little more general. It's good, but it's more general. Badger is when you're practically physically grabbing a person or poking them. I want this, I want this, I want this, give me this. That's badgering. It's almost physical.
But is it a rude word? Should I say it in a polite contest?
No.
Stop nagging me, please. You know, in a meeting, for example. No, it's bad.
Not unless you're joking.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Hey, listen, I really want to badger you about the money you owe me. Well, I mean, no, badger means you're really bothering someone. I mean, you can't say annoy in a polite, nice way either, so it's the same. So, Giancarlo, is that more clear? To badger someone.
Yeah, John. To badger, yeah. To is similar to bother someone.
To bother, yeah. To bother. To bother, but excessively. Like you can bother someone once, but you badger someone constantly. So that's one of the differences. But you're going to see it in the text as well. Okay, besides badger, any other words that you don't know? Anyone else? Everything else is clear? Everything else is good? Yes? Let's do consumption. This is going to be consumption in the financial sense, like related to consumers. What do consumers do? They consume. Okay, so it's just think about the word families like nouns, verbs, adjective, adverbs. So we have to consume, right? We have the noun consumption. Oops, consumption is the noun. I'll put a little N for noun in the chat window. Consumer is a noun. Consumer. So that's a noun, but a person. Adjectives and adverbs, I don't know. I can't really think. Consumptive, maybe. Consumptive could be an adjective, but not a very common word. Okay. But there you go. So just make a little word wheel in your head. To consume in the middle, and little spokes going off to the side. And there you go. Gives you an idea. Okay, if there's no other words, then let's read this short article and talk about Greece, austerity. Europe, living on an island, and what we think about the mayor's uh, decisions, the mayor's plan of action for the island as well. So let's give it a shot. Here we go. I'm going to jump forward. Let's skip this. It's not that important. Okay, let's go in the order that I see you, starting with Ms. V to the first paragraph. It's going to be, the order is going to be V, then Santiago, then Roberto, then Rebecca, then Marta, then Jose, then Giancarlo, then Enrique, and last will be Rob. Okay, that's the order. One paragraph each. Take it away, V.
Yeah. On the Aegean island that runs on cash, time is running out.
It's like this. Aegean. Aegean.
Aegean. Yeah. Yeah. The Greek island of, I don't know. Aegeus. How to say
Aegeus?
that? Aegeus.
Efstratios. Aegeus Efstratios.
Yeah. The Greek island of Aegeus Efstratios is so remote, so forgotten by the banks, the government, and the most of the modern world, that there isn't a single ATM or credit card machine on the island. Before the economic crisis in Greece, residents of this tranquil island in the northern Aegean managed quite well. They did their banking at the post office, and the few dozen rooms to rent were fully booked every summer with people who had heard by word of mouth of its spectacular empty beaches, clear seas, and fresh seafood.
Okay.
Economic.
Economic, right. So the stress is on the nom. Okay. And
so the
also...
now is it,
question?
The noun of economic is
economic is a noun.
Economic is an adjective.
Economic. Oh, sorry. You're right. Yeah. I'm sorry. Yes, you're right. I meant. No. You're right. Economy. Sorry.
Economy.
Economy. So there, it's on the con, second syllable. Sorry. It's on this syllable. And the reason. Say that again for me. Economy.
Economy.
Right. And the reason that we break the syllable with EC in the first syllable is because it's ek. If I broke it on the E, it would be economy, which it isn't. So that's why the syllable has to be broken. Remember yesterday we talked about open and closed syllables for those of you who were here. So it's a closed syllable, therefore you don't say the E, you say eh. Economy. In the second one, echo, the reason we say the O is because the second syllable in the adjective is an open syllable. That means it ends with an O. When we have an open syllable that ends with a vowel, it says its name, and the name is O. Echo. Oh no, I'm just giving you bad information. No, I'm giving you completely bad information.
I think.
Hold on a second.
No, I guess.
I made a mistake. Economy. Sorry, I made a mistake. It's like this. I made a mistake because it's not econ, it's econ. So it's short. Sorry. So it should be like that. Economy. No, I'm doing it wrong again. Oh my God. Who wrote that? Who wrote that in the chat window? Economic? This one doesn't follow the stupid rule I gave you, does it? Economic. Echo. No, I was right the first time. I was right. No, everyone stop the presses. I was right the first time. Economic. Here's the problem. I was right the first time. The problem is when we speak fast, the O softens to an A. Economic. If you slow it down, it's echo. I was right the first time. Stop laughing. And by the way, I have a question for you. And I'll tell you what the question is as soon as I figure out where I put my questions. I'll come back to you for a second, V, because you know what?
Yeah.
I lost my questions.
Oh my God.
I stay up all night writing out questions for you to help you think about the article, and then I lose them before class starts. It'll be back. Okay, so we get a little bit of background about the island. Aegeus Estratios, I believe is the right pronunciation. It's been forgotten about by the banks. That's an important first paragraph. Mr. Santiago, can you take number 2 for us?
Okay. But because the island still use only cash, the closure of the Greek banks has been devastating. Residents have to make 9-hour round trips to the nearest big island to get cash, and Greek visitors say they can't get hold of enough money to come. Tourist numbers have reduced by 80% this year, said Mayor Maria Kakali. In an office in the village where she grew up with a population of around 200 people. Even people born here and living in Athens, who have their own places on the island, aren't coming.
Okay, 200 people, that's right.
200.
And give me a second. Sorry, I'm just trying to open a document and my computer is really slow. I had some questions for you. Okay. So, let's just talk about one quick thing. What exactly is the problem with using cash? What's the issue that people are having? Is that part clear?
I think it's because the banks, they don't have enough money. No, you can go to the ATM machine to get some money because the banks they don't have enough money for everyone or for everybody.
ATM machine where? Does the island have an ATM machine? What do you think? Because it says that they use cash. So,
because maybe there are no banks. There are no banks.
There are no banks.
Okay,
there are no banks, and there are no ATM machines. Right? But you're right about the banks and the ATM machines. It's just that they're talking about the mainland, or they're talking about another island before you get to this island. So the banks were closed for like what, 3 months, 4 months, or something like that. You could withdraw a little bit of cash at ATM machines, a small amount per day, or something like that, if at all. So the banks were completely closed. So right when the tourist season started, after the referendum, suddenly there were no banks. Well, if you need to go to an island and pay for things, and there's no banks, and if you imagine you want to stay an extra day, imagine you even want to get there. There's no way to withdraw enough cash to do anything.
Or maybe you can pay with your credit card or your debit card. You don't have to get money from the ATM machine. You don't need cash.
Yeah, but if the banks are closed and there's no transactions, there's no bank to process the credit card.
Okay, I got it.
So yeah, that's the picture we have to keep in mind. The banks were closed, so even if you swipe your credit card, there's no one to receive the swipe when you swipe the machine. There's no one to process it. So that's not a problem normally because it's an all-cash island. They don't want to be, but now it's a problem because you can't even swipe your credit card before you get there. So just try to picture that situation. Mr. Roberto, can you take number 3 for us?
Yes. Kakali has budgeted the government and a major Greek bank into promising an ATM within weeks, but she still feels it may be too late for this season on an island where tourism is the main source of income. We have almost no reservation in August, when usually we have people calling us up asking to find a room and we can help them. A hard winter ahead may maybe slightly improve because 50 workers will live and work in the village to expand the harbour. But there is an even bigger crisis ahead because the government has said it will end a tax break for islands.
Yeah, that's going to be important in the next paragraph. 2 pronunciation issues. Look in the chat window. The pronunciation of badgered. Jur as in gerbil. Badgered.
Badgered.
Good. And the second word you read live as live. 50 workers will live, not live. 50 workers
Okay.
will live.
Yes.
Right? So remember, you've got 2 pronunciations for this word. You've got live, which is I like white lion. And if you say that to live, alive, it is he is live and live. So let's start with the verb. Live, as in pig, is the verb. Right? Live is a singular of you have live and lives. Give me a second here. Let me find a good context for you, because I keep wanting to say alive, but that's not the word that we used in that's not the word that we used in the text. Well, you could say live as in live music, for example. Live. It is live. So that would be an adjective. So let's try to do it like that. If you have the I sound, it's an adjective, typically. And if you have the I sound, that should say pink pig, not pig pig. That would be the verb. Let me just rewrite that. And those words in the parentheses are words that have the same vowel sound. Okay. So just a quick question, Roberto.
Yes.
What may make the hard winter ahead a little bit better for the island? What are they anticipating that might help them out?
For the island, it's important to have a ATM or to get cash.
That would be nice, but that's not the plan for the winter. What's going to happen in the winter that may change the economics of the island?
Yes, it's the tax. I think the taxes. There are no taxes or not many taxes in islands in Greek, and I think the economic union, European Union Economic, said it's necessary to have more taxes in
Of course,
islands.
Islands. Right. So we'll call it the European Union to be short. EU, European Union. They're demanding higher taxes. Well, they're demanding lots of things from Greece. But that's not what I was talking about, actually. What I was talking about was here. They're going to, what was it? A hard winter ahead may be slightly improved because 50 workers will live and work in the village to expand the harbor.
Okay.
So there's going to be construction. But you can already get this picture that one little construction project will completely change the economics of this little place. And this is only one island, and there's thousands of islands, right? So gives you a good picture about the island is almost like a metaphor of what little communities have to deal with all over the place. So anyway, that's what I had in mind, the harbor. Let's go to Rebecca for paragraph 4, the tax break. Let's find out about the tax breaks.
Okay, tax 4. The tax break was created to help island communities survive the problem of mass emigration. The lower sales tax reduced the cost of living on the islands, where everything had to be imported, and it made tourism more affordable. Tourist favorites such as Mykonos, Fea,
Mykonos is the island that we talked about. Mykonos, the other island, the touristic island.
Mykonos, famous. Fear that losing the tax breaks will make it hard for them to compete with Turkey. But for Agios Efstratios, it is a far greater problem. If we have to pay a tax of 20%, I'm sorry to say it, but we will all die on the island, says Kakali.
Okay, good. And just one pronunciation issue. Remember, tax. Don't forget that hard K sound. Tax.
I said tax with S, maybe, yeah.
The first time, yeah. The second time you said it right. Tax. And before that, a good word is emigration. Emigration is leaving. Immigration is leaving. Immigration is arriving. So here they're talking about a mass immigration problem.
With E, emigration, not immigration. Okay.
Yeah, we've got two words, immigration. Think about in. If you're coming into a country, you immigrate.
Okay. Right. With I. Okay.
With I.
Okay. And with E, emigrate. And I said, yeah.
E for leave. If you're emigrating, you're leaving.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that's a little rule we can put there in the chat window.
No, my problem was, the pronunciation with E. Sometimes it sounds like E, so I said that, but now I know the difference. Thank you.
But even native speakers sometimes have trouble with the difference between immigration and emigration, so I'm still going to put the rule. In for immigration, as in come into a country, and E for leave a country is emigration. Okay, so I'll just put that in because I'm telling you, even native speakers get it wrong, so we might as well clarify it too. Okay, very good. We're on to paragraph 5 with Marta.
Okay. Food and fuel.
Nope.
No, yes, I know, but I don't remember.
Fuel.
Yes, thank you. Fuel.
There you go.
Fuel are already more expensive than on the mainland. Even in summer, the island has only 3 shops.
You didn't say Iceland, did you? You said island, right?
Island.
Good.
Island has only 3 shops, 2 restaurants, and not a single official hotel. This is an expensive island.
No!
Island.
Good.
Everything, even milk or bread, has been bought and sold 3 or 4 times before it gets to us, and everyone has to take a profit, says Probatas Costas, a 58-year-old fisherman.
Okay, careful, not 58 years old, 58-year-old.
Oh, sorry, year-old, yes.
Okay, very good. The reason we don't say years is because in this case, year is an adjective.
Mm-hmm.
We have these compound, well, it's hard to explain. We've got these compound words like fireman, policeman, 58-year-old, and you can't pluralize them, you can't put an S, and you can't make them possessive. And it's like the one word is like an adjective describing the noun. But anyway, it's a little bit complicated. This is not a great example. Anyway, it's not years old, it's year old in this case.
Yes, okay.
Okay, very good. I want to get to the end of the article so we have some time to discuss it. So I'm going to press ahead, go to Jose for 6. Paragraph 6, Jose?
Okay, John. For Agios Stratios and its closest large neighbor, Limos, the timing of the crisis is particularly cruel. They were seen as remote for years, partly because you could only reach the islands by slow and unreliable ferries. In 2015, the government had finally given the contract to a new efficient company, and this has brought many new visitors to explore the island's charms. But then the bank controls it. It started as the best season in 30 years, and in 1 week it became the worst, said Atzamis Konstantinos, a travel agent in Limons.
Okay, very good reading, by the way. No island, no Iceland's there. Very good,
No
very good.
island.
All right. So this is what Roberto was talking about earlier. Everything has to be imported, and everyone has to take a profit. And this one is about the neighbor, Lemnos. So what is the particularly cruel thing that happened with Lemnos? Does that make sense? Just to be clear, what was the thing that is particularly cruel in Lemnos? Does that make sense?
Because the only way to reach the island is by ferry. It is a slow transport.
Right. And there's something ironic that happened here. So what was the ironic thing that happened to its neighbor? What was the change that ended up not really working out? Is that part clear? Did anyone catch that ironic thing that happened to Lemnos? In other words, why was the timing cruel?
It talks about the transportation, the way that we can enter into Lemnos, because they have to take a ferry, and it takes a lot of time to be there.
It used to. It used to take a long time, but now it doesn't. And the irony is, now the ferry is fast, and no one's got money to spend, and they can't withdraw it at the banks. So now, for the first time, they can get tourism and have it a better economy, that little island, and no one's got money to spend, so they've lost all their tourism. So it's worse than it was before, right? It's the timing that's bad. They got a new ferry, and now there's a banking crisis, and the bank's closed, making it even worse. All right. So let's see how we're going to do this, because we've got these ones are kind of short. Well, I guess life is not fair. Okay, Giancarlo, you're going to take 7. Rob, you're going to have a very short paragraph. Sorry about that. Giancarlo, can you take 7 for us?
Yes. Lemnos has dozens of wild beaches where you can swim and sunbathe virtually alone, a small nightlife scene, and many cultural sites. It is the 8th largest island in Greece, so it is in line for the first round of tax increases in autumn 2015, but it is far less wealthy than many smaller islands. It has just over 3,000 beds for visitors, compared with tens of thousands of an island such as Rhodes. We have been suffering economically in recent years, and now we will suffer more, said Lemnos Mayor Dimitris Marinakis. When there is not enough money, you reduce your consumption, and the whole economy gets worse.
Good. There's that word consumption. You reduce your what? What does it mean by consumption here?
It's the concept when people buy things to consume consumption.
Right. Buy more or buy less here?
Less, because they reduce the consumption.
Right. So you reduce your consumption, you buy less because there's no money. There's a banking problem. By the way, just one pronunciation word.
Yes.
Not dozens, but dozens. Like duck. Dozens.
Like dozens.
That's it. Dozens. A dozen is a group of 12 things. A dozen. Right? But here it just means the same as a lot. Okay, we're on to Mr. Enrique for paragraph 8.
Okay. Uh, if taxes go up, even more young people will leave. Once Mayor Kakali, who has worked to improve education on the island to help keep it an attractive place for families, because it is one of the smallest island ages status as until 2017 before the tax rise comes in. Kakali hopes that because things change very fast in Greek politics, the island might still avoid the tax. If not so, she plans to travel to Athens to remind the distant government what the tax rise will cost.
Okay, and Rob, tell us what the tax rise. What's she gonna do in paragraph 9? Go for it, Rob. Read paragraph 9. We've got just a few minutes.
Okay, the truth is the governmental doesn't pay much attention to the islands
Good.
of the North
Aegean.
She said, so I would take all the child from our school.
Oh, the what? Look again.
So I would take all the kids from our school to the gates of Parliament to tell them there is still life in this there's Iceland. No.
Islands. Read that last sentence for me. There is
still life in their islands.
I know, but you're not reading the words on the screen. You're guessing. But look exactly at the words. There's no there. There's a there in the beginning. There's no there in the end. What does that say in the end? Either that or you're using this, you're reading on your phone. Are you using a phone or a laptop?
Laptop.
Okay, because if you can't see it, open the presentation. The last line is, there is still life in these, not there. Okay.
These islands.
These islands.
These islands.
Okay, very good. Well, we've got just a minute or two, but I'd still like to know what you think about this topic, and specifically, the obvious. Let's see, my camera's on. The obvious question is, for me, since this is about a banking crisis, actually, I have a discussion question for you, don't I? Yes, I do. The discussion question on the other slide. You can see it. I forgot what page it is, but it was. What did I ask? It was about the Greek crisis, wasn't it? Oh, yes. Should the Greek government give special help to the islands? Yes or no? So what's your opinion about this? They're about to end a tax break, but should they be treated differently? What do you think about that, class? Any opinions? First, if there's any questions about the question, I'll clarify it. Should the islands, should they have to lose their tax break, which they're about to lose? Right now, things are tax-free because everything has to be imported. But that tax-free status is going to disappear in just a matter of months, basically.
Well, according to the text, John, it must, because people who live there, they don't even have the money to pay their essential things. And of course, maybe in the last line, they are mentioning that they are desperate, and they, in a certain way, they are saying, hey, there is life here in the island. So in my point of view, yes, they need help. I am not sure if they don't have to pay taxes, because I am not an expert in these kind of situations, economical situations. But as a human being, I can say that they need help, and the government must fix the situation. Why? Because meanwhile, we were reading, I was checking the pics, and I was checking some more information about Greece, and I discovered, because I discovered the island, I discovered where they are, the islands,
Right.
and I discovered some places, and they are beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. What they need is just to improve the economical situation there, and of course, they need to attract people to these islands in order to make the economy bigger and stronger.
Absolutely. So, on a human level, it's really hard to ignore the place because people should see it, and the people living there shouldn't really suffer. Yeah, I couldn't agree more with that. Also, I had something else I was going to say. Let me see if I can just find it here. Give me a moment. Yeah, this is it. Okay. This is something else I wanted to point out. I've got to stop the class because we have another class coming up. But just quickly, one last point. There's a famous economist. I was reading something yesterday about an economist's view of what's happening in Greece. And he made the interesting point. This is a guy named Michael Hudson, who's an economist in the United States. He made the interesting point that the Greek banks, that the European Union basically decided that they won't honor the Greek banks. So that means that if the Greek bank, that means if Greece needs to export something, and when you export, you know, there's always these credits that are given because you need to cover the costs of shipping or receiving. It's just a normal business transaction. Well, with countries that we don't like, we don't allow those kind of credits, those business credits to export, to import, just to make business happen. So he pointed out that that's what happened with Greece. In fact, the quote is, they, the European Union, Brussels, pulled the plug, well, it's really Germany, but yeah, anyway, the EU, pulled the plug on the Greek banks a few months ago and said, we're not going to accept any bank transfers, payments, etc., with the Greek banks here. So, if you're exporting and you can't, and you want credit for export, we're not going to give it to you. We're going to treat Greece like America treated Cuba, and America treated North Korea. So, I'll just leave you with that thought to think about. The argument for austerity is that I guess we have to teach countries to be fiscally responsible. I suppose. I don't know if you agree with that argument, or if you agree that that's what the argument is. But if you look a little bit more deeply, one thing that I noticed is that if you're not allowing a country to trade, you're just not allowing them, making it practically impossible. What are they going to do to get themselves out of the crisis? So this article has you look at one particular place with a group of people to see how it's affecting them and how little tiny things could completely change the balance and let people live normal lives. Building a harbor might change everything. Having a ferry that works, having an ATM on the island, little things could completely change a community. So, think about that, and I'd be happy to have another class where we talk all about austerity or Greece or whatever you like. Unfortunately, we've got to start the next class, and we're going to stop here for now. You've got a few vocabulary exercises you can do on the presentation, and I'd be happy to give you the answers to that if you're interested, so send me a message. I'll be back in 1 minute to start our Business Basics class, where we're going to be doing a kickoff meeting for a product, an initial meeting. We're going to go through all the stages of the meeting to help you practice. Okay? So,
Okay.
I'll be right back. See you in a moment. Okay? And send me a message if you'd like to get the answers to the vocabulary exercises.
Okay.
Bye for now. See